All right, it's really easy to do that. All you got to do is scan that barcode that was up on the screen. Anybody can do it. I did it because I want to help keep firefighters safe and healthy for generations to come. You know, they might not find it in our time, but that's back to that servant leadership. We're doing it for the next generation. Please take this message back to your stations. Thank you, Kenny Fent, Dr. Kenny Fent, Victor, Joe, and Andrew. Shows a lot of cooperation throughout our industry to get this going. Now I'd like to introduce our featured speaker for today. Brian Zaitz is a 22-year veteran of the fire service and Assistant Chief of Operations and Training for the Kirkwood, Missouri Fire Department. He is a safety officer for FEMA USAR's Missouri Task Force 1. He's the first Vice President of the International Society of Fire Service Instructors, President of the St. Louis County Training Officers Association, a Fire Service Advisory Board member for DTEC Together, and a commission member for the State of Missouri Fire Safety and Education Commission. He's an advisory board member for fire engineering and a workshop instructor for FDIC. He has several degrees, including a Master of Science degree in Human Resource Development. He's a graduate of the National Fire Academy's Executive Fire Officer Program and holds credentials as a Chief Fire Officer and Chief Training Officer. Please welcome our featured speaker, Brian Zaitz.
Good morning. It is often said life is all about balance. What does this mean, and how does it apply to us in the fire service? I'd like to take a few minutes this morning to discuss how balance can lead to success in the fire service as well as in life. Notice I didn't mention promotion. Success is not determined by a badge or rank. Success is determined by your impact. So what will your impact be? How will you be remembered? I don't mean awards, ribbons, or bugles. I mean when you are gone, will your organization be better because of you or in spite of you? Despite what we all might think, no one person is larger than their organization. Fires will still go out well after we're gone. A drive-by any cemetery will confirm our time is limited. Only you control what you do with your time in the fire service. Have you thought about it? Have you thought about the purpose of why you do what you do? Think about those legendary, impactful members of your organization. They didn't just accidentally end up there. They had a purpose, a plan, and all in balance. So how do we prepare and plan for our own success? Early on in my career, I'd ask everyone what I should do to succeed in the fire service. As I worked through my career, the answers differed from firefighter to firefighter, captain to captain, chief to chief. I heard things like, go to school, take classes, just be a good firefighter, and even get political. And while all good messages, they really didn't provide a pathway for this young firefighter trying to succeed in our fire service. As I went through my career as a new firefighter to company officer and now chief officer, 3 key elements kept showing face: physical skills, mental fortitude, and emotional strength. What I've found is these key elements are necessary not only for success in the fire service, but really everything we do in life. And the key is balance. I think of these 3 elements as the triangle for success. I like to use a triangle because it's tough to get off balance. Like a professional boxer, it's a sturdy adversary to move. It's also an easier relatable shape to us as firefighters. If you think back to your recruit days, that fire triangle, the triangle had to have a balance of fuel, oxygen, and heat to create a fire through that chemical reaction. Too much fuel, no fire. Too much oxygen, no fire. No heat, no fire. See, this is so simple, even the truck guys in the audience can figure it out. So what does all this mean? Well, let's take a look at that first critical element of success, physical skills. We can break this down into yet another triangle. You might notice a theme as I go through the morning. Physical skills include experience, education, and training. So let's start with experience. What is it? By definition, it is the practical contact of our observation of facts or events. In the fire service, we love to correlate experience to years on the job, and we all know this cannot be further from the truth. Experience is not a number, but rather how you react and how you learn from the opportunities afforded to you. I've had the good fortune to work with some of the best firefighters, fire officers, and fire chiefs in the business. I can also say I've worked with some of the worst. What I can tell you, I've learned from them all. As I look back through my career, I've had many positive and even a few negative experiences. Like many in this room, my career started as a volunteer firefighter. Many firefighters and fire officers influenced my development, offered me mentorship, and steered me in the right direction. One such person was that of engineer Chris Sang. He took me under his wing early on in my career. I would ride along with Chris in his shift, and while Chris may not have been the officer, he was definitely the leader, both in the station and on the fire ground. You see, Chris takes his job very seriously, respects the position and the service. He taught me many things. Never pass up an opportunity. Take the time to check the trucks, and always wear your proper PPE. To this day, Chris still wears all his PPE as the engineer on working fires and is ready for anything. This experience stays with me to this day. Love the job, have passion, and do what is right. As a newly hired career firefighter, I was assigned to our Station 1. It was one of our busier stations, and on my very first day, we ran 2 working fires. But as you can imagine, I was assigned to the ambulance, and I didn't see much action. I do remember, though, that second fire. My captain, Steve Hybreeder, a true mentor and a friend to this day. He explained what they had on arrival. He walked me through that small burned-out structure. He explained why they took the line they did and why they searched, even knowing no one was likely inside. You see, Steve cared. He wanted his crew to know everything he knew. He wanted to share his experience and for everyone to learn. And while I did gain from that experience, I learned that it is critical to share everything. Learn from each other and mentor the next generation. It's easy to mentor the motivated. I'm here today to ask you to do the hard work of mentoring those in the margins, to see and bring out what a firefighter may not see in themselves. Never pass up an opportunity to gain experience, but also never be afraid to admit you were wrong. As a new lieutenant, I responded to a lightning strike. It was a busy night of storms, and we were getting slammed with calls. I was ready to leave a scene when my engineer then, Joe Arthur, walked into the home. He said, "Something still isn't right." I rolled my eyes and was like, "It's fine. We're getting slammed with calls. Let's get to the next real emergency." Joe made his way to the laundry room, which I had already checked, and moved the dryer. Inside, what did he find? Smoldering lint. He said he'd seen this before. The lightning traveled from the strike site to the dryer vent and ignited that lint. Had I just moved along, we would have been back hours later for a significant fire event, tremendous property loss, and even potential loss of life. I learned 2 things that night. Always clean your lint trap. More importantly, though, take care of the task at hand and pay attention. I carry this with me to this day. Don't get in a hurry. Take the time and effort to learn from experience. You may not always recognize it while it's happening. However, it is important to reflect so as to not miss the opportunity. Experience, it builds our Rolodex in our mind of events, both good and bad, that allows comparatives to gauge against other situations. There's an old adage, experience is the best teacher, providing the test first and the lesson after. Experience is the cornerstone for us as firefighters. Now let's talk about education. And I know many may argue the importance of formal education in today's fire service. Understand, education is more than just a piece of paper or letters behind your name. Education provides the opportunity to learn outside your comfort zone and expose yourself to those non-technical aspects of the job. Courses like statistics, social science, cultural diversity, and even writing all provide new knowledge about a topic, but also allow for interaction with professionals outside of our fire service. I obtained my Bachelor's of Science at Lindenwood University, and as such, I'm a proud Lindenwood Lion. Through my studies, I had the fortune to take a marketing class with Professor Mick Howery. Mick was a great instructor, but more so, a marketing master for the St. Louis area. In class, I learned what marketing truly was and how businesses marketed their consumers to drive growth. I also learned that as a fire service, we do a pretty poor job of marketing to our communities. Our industry has changed. We do more than just fight fires. We are America's first line of defense. We all know this. But do our communities? Professor Mick showed me that marketing is all about connecting. It's about showing why we are good or better and why we are needed. Marketing is key to our success in the fire service, and we all must be good marketers. Marketing is as simple as personal interactions, whether it be on a scene, at an event, or even walking through a store. People love firefighters. Engage with your community. Talk to them. Be empathetic and compassionate. For our success, we must transition from the fire department to their fire department. Now buckle up, because we're about to talk about what my passion is, and that's training. We often hear things like every day is a training day and train like you fight. These are all buzzwords that are meaningless if we don't truly live them. We all know that training is important, so why aren't we prioritizing it in today's fire service? It is said you cannot train enough for a job that can kill you. I tend to agree with that statement. Daily training must be as routine as coffee in the morning. Only this will ensure our fire service is ready for the next run. So let's take a deeper dive into training and finish off this third side of our triangle. Training occurs at the individual, company, and battalion level. Training is the second most important function of firefighting, second only to that of response. Training, like firefighting, should be a team sport, should be fun, and should build upon the basics. I often say, the basics are the basics, but the basics aren't easy. Never be afraid to go back to the basics for company level training. Focus trainings on your department. Look at your equipment. Train and familiarize yourself with its function and its use. Look at your SOPs and SOGs. Become intimately familiar with them. They are your playbook. No different than the great Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Their playbook is deep and rehearsed. Our SOGs and SOPs must be the same. Know your area and your buildings. Get out from behind those station bay doors and into your community. Walk the buildings, meet the owners, engage your community. This will pay dividends well past a great training opportunity. It will build bonds that will lead to success for years to come. Engage your team. Just because you're the officer doesn't mean you have to teach everything. Like a good coach, the officer must put the right people in the right spots for the organization to succeed. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." As chief officers, it is easy to find training taking a backseat to other priorities. Today, I challenge the chiefs in this room. Attend your next department training. Gear up and train with your members. Do not teach, do not lead, simply attend. Not only will you gain knowledge, but you will truly be leading by example. Training should also occur outside our comfort zones and with others outside our agencies at conferences like this, FDIC. The FDIC truly hits all the marks, offering the best training from the best in the business, from fire service legends like Avillo, Ricci, Viscuso, Gustin, Norman, and Rhodes, as well as many others that strengthen our love and knowledge for the job. Remember, share everything. Training, education, and experience are the foundation for our physical success on the job. These three, in balance, will provide for safe, efficient, and effective operations on the emergency scene. And while training, education, and experience were my focus early on, I quickly realized these alone would not sustain me. We are in an industry with a high burnout rate. Relying on physical skill sets alone will lead to careers cut short long before their time. For success, we cannot rely solely on being an effective firefighter. We also need mental fortitude and emotional strength. So let's take a look at what mental fortitude is. This is our drive, our attitude, and our focus. And yes, another triangle. Our drive. This is our internal motivation, key to our success. Our motivation will waver and be challenged as we go through our careers. I can tell you as a new firefighter, my drive was high. I signed up for every class and course available. But as I went through my career, I was knocked down. My motivation and drive were challenged, not by the fire service, but rather my environment. My Uncle Bob, the best kind of firefighter, a retired firefighter, he once told me, always love the job. No, it's not the job, but your department that will frustrate you. The key is to stay motivated for the service. We must recognize that our drive is what keeps us and our industry moving forward. Remember, we must not simply work for a fire department. We must work for the fire service. Now let's talk about attitude. And I know no one here has an attitude problem in their department, right? We've all had a bad day and maybe even developed a bad attitude. Like a virus, a bad attitude can spread quickly. As leaders, and everyone in this room is a leader, we must strive to always display a positive attitude. We must rise above. The fire service doesn't need more problem finders. It needs solution makers. Stay positive and find solutions for your organization. Remember why you entered this job. It was not to get rich. It was not to teach. It wasn't to stand on some stage. It was to help our fellow citizen and do something we love. We are fortunate to be called firefighters. We are lucky to walk into a fire station each day and be part of an elite team of American heroes. We must always maintain a positive attitude and strive to be our best and bring out the best in others. Finally, have focus in all things that you do. We've heard the saying, any job worth doing is worth doing right. Stay focused on the mission of the fire service. Use this as your basis for decisions. Always do what is right. These elements, drive, attitude, and focus, will prepare you for the mental and physical aspects of the job. But as I said earlier, firefighting is a team sport, and our team requires more than just firefighters to accomplish our tasks. This final concept, the third element of our original triangle, emotional strength. And yes, one more triangle, but I promise you this is the last one. I like to say this is the Chief Halton triangle. Chief Halton had an unwavering love for his faith, his friends, and most of all, his family. You see, these three, our friends, our faith, and our family, are key to providing a true foundation that allows us to do what we do every day as firefighters. We see things that most can't imagine, experience things that would make many cringe. And the reality is, we can't do it alone. As firefighters, we are the first ones called to help, and yet, often the last to ask for help. We need to know it is okay to say something bothers us. We can no longer bottle up our emotions. We are human just like everyone else. It's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay not to be okay. The key, ask for help. As firefighters, we say we are a brother's keeper. This must transcend the fire ground and into the firehouse. We must always have each other's back. I'm fortunate to stand here today, but I do not stand here alone. I have friends both in and out of the fire service, many are here today, that have taught me about life, inspired me to do more, and challenged me to look beyond the easy. I have a strong faith that guides my principles and my way of life. I'm lucky. I work with the best of the best at the Kirkwood Fire Department, and I'm led by the very best Fire Chief, Jim Silvernail. I'm honored to serve the International Society of Fire Service Instructors and live my passion, fire service training, and my family. I'm not sure where I'd be without my family. They've always encouraged me, supported me, and made me what I am today. See, I told you, it's okay to cry, right? Maybe Mother Teresa said it best. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. No matter your title or rank in the fire service, your most critical role is that at home. Mother, father, husband, wife, brother, or sister. Remember, your family needs you just as much as the fire service, and you need them more than anything the fire service can provide you. As I conclude, I leave you with this. Always love the job. It is the greatest job in the world, but do not fall short of loving your family. Reality is, life is short, and our careers even shorter. Don't let your career slip by. Make time each day to improve yourself. Do things right. Tell your family you love them before and after each shift. Our desire must be for a greater fire service, and our quest must be to positively impact that next generation. This is how you will be remembered. I'm Brian, and thanks for your time.